The Dave Dameshek football program. Available on iTunes and at davedameshek.nfl.com. Now here's your host, Dave Dameshek.
I like this music. Woo!
Hi and hello, football fans.
Good day.
Welcome to the Dave Dameshek football program. I hope all's well wherever you are. Things could certainly be sunnier around here.
It is sunny. It's a nice day in beautiful California. Why are you in such a bad mood?
We have Maurice Jones-Drew and Colleen Wolfe on the way in just a little bit. Seated to my immediate left.
Why are you in a bad mood?
Willie McGinest. Explain yourself.
I'm just saying, why?
How do you live with yourself?
Why are you in a bad mood?
I think you know.
It was a great weekend of football.
It was it?
It was.
Yeah, it was right up until.
Or did you just watch one game?
I watched all the football there, McGinest.
Right.
I watched it all, but of course my emotions were turned upside down by what I saw in the waning seconds in Heinz Field. I mean, come on. How do you live with yourself?
What do you attribute that to? Do you attribute that to bad situational football? Do you attribute that to a player and maybe a coordinator not being on the same page, or when a play breaks down, knowing what to do to give yourself another couple plays? Like, what do you contribute to that? Preparation? What do you contribute that to? I just want to see what.
Don't you throw the do your job and preparation and all that jazz at me.
You had multiple opportunities to win that football game.
They did.
Even when the catch didn't happen, it's second and goal.
Okay.
It's second and goal. Let's move past the non-catch by Jesse James.
I think we should absolutely talk about move past it. Why? That was everything, wasn't it?
It's a rule. It's a rule. You must maintain. You must maintain control of the ball.
This is what we're going to do? Is this what we're about?
Saying,
is parsing what the rules are?
There's
no pleasure in this.
I instantly knew from my days of playing, from my 15-year experience, my preparation, and my knowing of the rule book, I instantly knew when they showed that play the very first time it was not a catch.
All right. The game has changed a lot since you and I retired. Right. But listen, what I'll tell you is this, Willie. If you look real close.
I look very close. Like everybody else, especially the people in the New York office who get paid to look very closely at these plays. But
they became consumed by whether or not the ball moved.
It did
what
move.
They did. I completely agree it moved. You know what they
It moved where? When it hit the ground.
If it hits the ground, but he maintains possession.
He didn't. His hand had rolled. The ball had moved.
His right hand is underneath that ball, Willie.
His right hand, but his left hand didn't, which means if half the ball is on the ground and half the ball is trailing on the side, which means he didn't have control.
His digits are are a part of his right hand.
Let's move on. Let's agree.
See, this is what you want to do. Go ahead. Emma VP, you have something to say here? What do you think? You're an objective eyewitness.
Yeah, I'm objective.
Yeah.
His knee was down.
His knee was down?
Yeah.
When? When he didn't maintain possession?
He had possession. His knee was down. So worst comes to worst, they get the ball on the half-yard line.
No, the rule says when you make contact with the ground, you have to maintain. It's not. It hasn't. They didn't just put this in this weekend. We've seen multiple plays where the same action happens and it's ruled not a catch. So if you're Pittsburgh fans, I get it. It's tough to deal with. You're going to be a little salty about it, but let's move on. You still got the ball second and goal.
All right. I agree. Well, first of all, Sean Davis should have intercepted the ball. That should have been the game ender right there.
There's a lot of ifs in that game we can go back to. If AB had been playing and didn't pull a calf muscle, if they would have tackled Juju on the sideline instead of everybody backing up thinking he was going to go out of bounds. So let's get past.
Well, in hindsight, if I can play the if game, I wish Juju would have gotten pushed out of his zone 40, then 7 throws one more pass with 40 seconds to go. Maybe they make a field goal for the overtime.
It's a different game with no timeouts, though. So you know they're going for the score first and then the field goal. If all goes bad, we still have the field goal, which is the same scenario at second and goal.
Listen, I'm with you. I'm not.
You don't want to go through the play?
I do. One thing I don't want to do is exactly what you're saying. Let's get over that. It's a rule. It was there before the game was played. Is it going to
change anything? No, it's not. It's not going to change anything. So we could talk about it all day long. At the end of the day, secure the catch,
Okay.
And then you got to touch.
Let's do this with that play because I'm intrigued by this as a guy who is between those lines in critical moments. I'm going to try to be objective and not be bitter about what I saw, but let's just talk about what it is to be a defensive player in that moment. We saw Malcolm Butler rise to the occasion a few years ago. Obviously, Belichick ballyhooed for prepping his team the right way. So go ahead. Tell me in that moment, wait, the ball's live. They're stepping to the line. Are they going to spike it? What is the defense saying? You're the leader of that defense out there. What kind of communication, if any, are you capable of issuing to the other 10 guys out there?
Well, first of all, we're never going to give up on the play. We're going to go out and we're going to line up as if he's going to run an actual play. And then we're always listening. So if he got the clock play through the headset, no, run the play, he has to give some type of signal or something to the receiver, because if you watch the play, the lineman didn't move. One of them got knocked on his butt because they wasn't expecting the play. Mm-hmm. The only two people who knew about the play was Ben, the coordinator who called it in, and the actual receiver he gave the signal to. Everybody else just walked off the ball.
Literally upright.
Right.
Yes.
The other two receivers just walked off the ball. Mm-hmm. So the cornerback knew something was up because either he was paying attention, because you have to watch Ben. He gives things away, whether it's signals, whether when he's in shotgun, which foot is forward or back. We used to get all different types of keys from Ben. The other thing is situational football. Regardless of what they're doing, you make sure you're playing the play throughout until you actually see the clock play. Now, the most famous clock play in our era happened in our division. So we've been aware of this forever with Dan Marino. Mm-hmm. So we are aware that these plays do exist and have practiced these plays on a continuous basis. So them being prepared, that defensive back didn't just stand up and let the receiver go. He was down and he was ready to go. The safety, the linebacker dropped back in the throwing lane. That's why Ben had to pump it. So it was literally 4 guys against 1 in that play, which didn't turn out.
Well, they always say don't throw the ball across your body and all that, and we can
I got one more thing for you, too.
Okay.
On that clock play, and I've never seen a slant unless there was like a pick or something.
Me either. It was absolutely wonky.
Right.
What I was going to say is I don't mind 7. Yeah, I don't mind 7.
Out. I was talking to David Carr about that. It's usually a fade or out. I don't get why you would throw into coverage a crowded middle of the field. You try to throw a slant with everybody standing there, because if those guys don't run a route to get people out of the box, or the tight end doesn't run a route to get people out of the box, you got a crowded box. So if I'm Ben, he's a veteran. He knows this. If he's throwing it to a crowd, don't force it. Mm-hmm. Like, you got life. Don't force it. Throw the ball away. Now you got one more play. The clock stops. You can huddle up. You can call your most favorite play, your Patriot beater, whatever that is. Get in the huddle. Call that play. If it doesn't work, guess what? You can kick a field goal. And then you can go overtime, and I like your chances at home overtime.
I agree with all that. I will say I want to let 7 off the hook a little bit. I do. I think it is bad.
When has 7 ever listened to his coordinator?
You're right. Well, that's exactly.
When has he ever did?
I think the bad form
what he wanted to do
after the game to say, "Well, it wasn't my call." Like, really, 7? You're going to throw the guys on the sideline. Whether it was Tomlin, it would seem it was Tomlin who.
I don't know if it's Tomlin. I don't know if Tomlin will jump in on that play. I think that's his coordinator.
Either way, I like the philosophy of whoever was deciding. Go for the win now. Let's not chance this. Take this thing to overtime. I don't mind the notion of trying a play to win the game in that moment.
Okay.
The specifics of it,
I don't mind.
I'm with you completely.
With that, I don't have a problem with that. But if you're going to do a play like that, give your player the best opportunity to win on that play.
Let me say a couple of things. One, here's why I'm sick as an unobjective viewer of that game, Willie. You listen, I don't like living in the 21st century on game day morning. And by the way, a banner job, Willie McGinest, for real, on Sunday morning before all the Week 15 games kicked off. You did great work there. And I was in there talking about, I did the Steelers fans' lament, which is throughout the 20th century, the Steelers were pro football's bully. Now all of a sudden they're a nail to the Patriots' hammer. I don't care for it. I don't want the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. I want the Steelers to win the Super Bowl.
That's
obviously.
Not being objective.
I didn't say I was going to be objective.
You said it before you started.
I said unobjective, and I never have claimed to be objective about it. Now listen to me. Here's what I'll tell you.
Okay.
For once, in that a team that the football gods, for whatever reason, at the turn of the millennium decided, let's just give them the ongoing gift of a bum division. That's what I don't care. You can get angry at me, but that's the fact.
It is what it is.
The greatest foe you've ever had in the 21st century within the AFC East was Mark Sanchez's Jets for a couple of years. That's a division?
Is that our fault? Or their fault?
It has nothing to do with fault. Deserve's got nothing to do with it, as Eastwood said.
Let me just say this. Let me just say this before you start.
All right, go ahead.
When I came into the league, it was the most dangerous conferences because we had the Colts with Manning. We had the Bills, who how many Super Bowls did they go in a row? With all those animals with the Buffalo Bills with Levy as the head coach that we had to deal with.
I didn't know you were that old.
Yeah,
somebody look
90s.
up Willie's age.
No, don't look up my age. I came in the 90s. So that conference,
the 1990s?
That conference was actually really competitive.
Well, you know when else it was competitive?
You know who the quarterbacks were?
Yes, I do.
All of them were Hall of Famers.
Well, you know who?
Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, and Jim Kelly. So I don't think that was such of a bum conference back then. And we did go to the Super Bowl in '96.
I remember all of it.
I know, but you're trying to talk down the conference. Don't forget who was in that conference.
Let me tell you who was playing when the Steelers.
Give me the Hall of Famers quarterbacks.
When the Steelers
in that division. Give me the Hall of Fame quarterbacks in that division. I gave you one from every team in our division. You give me.
How about instead of just one position? In the 70s, Willie, when the Steelers won 4 Lombardis.
That's too far back. Give me
when the Steelers won Super Bowls 4 out of 6 seasons. You know who they had to go through? They had to go through America's team, the team that would still be regarded as the greatest of all time, Roger Staubach and company.
Growing up, I know that.
All right,
I was a Pittsburgh fan.
Well, there's one Hall of Famer for you that they went through twice in Super Bowls.
But you had to go back to the 70s.
That's right. I have to go back there because of your team. That's why I have to.
Have a team in the 70s.
That's why I have to go back is because of what your Patriots have done to my Steelers. Of course, I'm raw about it. Now, this time, the Patriots, the football gods, decided, you know what, let's see if 12 can do it with a little adversity. You would have had to go maybe host the Ravens or maybe the Titans or someone like that, maybe the Chargers. No easy game.
Light work.
In the wild card round in Foxborough. Survive that, you get a trip to Jacksonville to play the best defense in the league, who at minimum would beat you up real good, even if you survive.
Right.
Then and only then do you get to come back to Heinz Field.
You're right.
On the road.
You're right.
That would have been tough. Now it's a foregone conclusion. Congratulations on.
It's not over.
It's over with, Willie.
It's not over.
How confident are you that they beat the Bills this weekend?
I'm very confident because the Bills have to go to Foxborough. They know what's on the line. They want that number 1 seed. They want to play throughout. That was the game right there. That was pretty much the AFC Championship we saw this weekend.
What's up? Right. So they're going to the Super Bowl.
And we're going to see a repeat. I don't think Pittsburgh falls off. I think they get better, right? Now, the question for you is, how does this change the Steelers without Antonio Brown?
I'm not sure how long.
Who's your number 1 receiver? Who are you going to anoint? It's got to be Bryant, right? He's been begging for this. I just wanted to ask you this because he's been begging. Ever since he's got benched and all the things that's went on, he wanted more touches. He wanted to be in the light. He wanted to be the number 1 guy. He wanted to be Ben Sink, right? All those different things. He wanted all that. Now he's got it. The stage is there's no brighter stage in the NFL than it is for him. You get to take over the number 1 spot. You are the guy. I want to see how he reacts. He had an amazing game.
He did. In that moment, didn't have time for a week's worth of questions and answers with the media. He just went out there in that moment and rose up.
He's the guy.
Well, but so did Juju.
Yeah, Juju did. But, Juju's been consistent. Mm-hmm. But even with Martavis Bryant on that team, I still think Juju's the number 2.
Well, I'm curious what you think is, who gets more targets, I'm not sure week to week, but I think that it's all about 26 more than what it was going into week 15, and I think you and I agree. Yeah, I think we knew going in that was Belichick's focus was to try and stop 26
And they didn't.
Well, that's what my question is. How concerned are you, not just about the Steelers? I guess they're probably the scariest team to you and the Patriots. But the Jags, they can grind you with Fournette, and they can dominate you on defense. The Chiefs can apparently are capable of doing that. We saw that in week 1.
Which Chiefs?
Well, the one we have seen the last couple of weeks and the one you saw in the season kickoff in Foxborough.
Okay, so that's That's a big gap. The one we saw that went 5-0 is a different Chiefs than the one.
I agree with that, but let me throw this back at you. I'm not one for historical evidence. Hey, since 1984, this team, when they do that is meaningless. Those people weren't born yet, or the current players weren't born back then. But recent history indicates that if you beat the Patriots in the regular season, just this decade, 4 times teams that beat the Patriots in the regular season went on to beat them again in the postseason. That should give Chiefs fans a glimmer of hope at minimum. And the Steelers were right there. I think the Steelers, probably more so than their fans, are now imbued with a sense of, we can hang with this team. Well, we certainly can play with this team.
I think they knew that going in. I don't think any Steeler fans was worried about the Patriots.
I was.
We can't keep up with them. But you mentioned the Chiefs, and I didn't talk to research or anything. I didn't know you were going to bring that up. But recent history also shows that they're not good in the playoffs. They get in the playoffs and they get knocked out the first round. So we need to see which Chiefs. That's why I was asking you. Which Chiefs is going to go into the playoffs and how they're going to perform? The explosive Chiefs that can run the ball with Hunt and those explosive plays down the field with Hill and Kelsey making all those great catches, the short to intermediate routes and those one-on-ones in the red zone and getting up doing his dances, Alex Smith not turning the ball over, or the Chiefs that we saw play terrible defense just 3-4 weeks ago that any team could do whatever they wanted, throwing the ball, running the football. The running game was gone. And you can go all the way down the line. So it's different. You know this because your team's always in the playoffs. It's a different level. It's a different type of adjustment, and it's a different stage once you go into the playoffs.
I agree with that, and that factor is massive for a guy like Blake Bortles probably going into his first go-round. If Mariota makes it, we'll see how he does.
Exactly.
One last thing, though.
Okay.
Legitimately, how concerned are you now that you see what really could have been, should have been, whatever, at certainly a minimum could have been. Let's leave it at that.
Right.
A 2-game losing streak where the other team was able to run on them and physically beat up that team.
Which
going
into
into
talking about?
The Dolphins game on Monday night and then in Heinz Field. Are you concerned as a Patriots guy that team can be had now?
You know why? Because I see it throughout the league. I saw Minnesota go in and get beat by Carolina. I saw the Saints get beat. I saw the Rams go in and handle a tough Seattle team. I know they're a little beat up, but go in and just manhandle them. So you see it every week. It's a competitive league, and these teams, certain teams pull away. There's nobody really just pulling away like that. So I see the competitiveness in the league every single week and every single game. And once everything gets uniformed and we know who's going to be where and who's going to be playing, then you can kind of look at certain things and look at experience and how the guys react once they get in the playoffs, or the teams that are built for the playoffs, teams that can run the ball. You mentioned Jacksonville. I think they're one of the scariest teams. But the one big question you have, I have, everybody has is, if the game comes down to it and you're down 14 and you're Jacksonville and you have to put the game on Blake Bortles' back, can he deliver? With the non-superstar cast at receivers, which are doing a great job, okay? You got a running back that's dinged up. He's in and out of the lineup, but when he's healthy, he's a monster. And a great defense that can cover, take the ball away, and they're one of the most physical fronts in football. But what happens when you fall 14 points? I believe in Ben. I know what Ben can do when his back's against the wall. He's proved it year in and year out consistently. I know what Drew Brees can do. I know what Tom Brady can do. We saw what Aaron Rodgers can miss 8 weeks of football coming out of a hospital bed, and he throws 3 interceptions, and he's like, that's nothing. Watch this. And he almost still has an opportunity to win the football game.
I agree with all of it.
That's what I look at. So
okay, well, we'll see.
I'm not going to crown a champion just yet. I'm saying there's a lot of football to play, and we'll see after week 17 how things shape up, and then we'll start to – because I'll be back. I'm not going anywhere. We'll have this conversation
again. All right, we'll do it again. But I'll say this, that, yes, I agree with you that Blake Bortles with the Jags equals to me Mariota with the Ravens.
Mariota's throwing more interceptions than touchdowns.
Yeah, they have quietly been sort of falling apart there. I do want to say one more thing, because it is pick your poison. People look back and say, why don't they stop Le'Veon Bell? Why don't they do something?
Because hard.
You can't do it. Same thing a lot of Steelers fans are saying, why don't they double Gronk? My assumption is that the scheme for the Steelers was to not let Deion Lewis and company devastate out of the backfield all day. That required them to keep a safety and or Vince Williams up closer to the line than they'd like to. That allows Gronk to get behind them. That leaves Sean Davis singled up on him. And Gronk happens to be not a great player. He is the best tight end in the history of football.
He's one of. His size, his speed, his
Have you seen any
his
equal?
route running. He's one. I mean, I played against Tony Gonzalez, Shannon Sharp. I played against some great ones, Gates. I mean, there's some great ones. He's just, he's monstrous. I mean, he's huge. The way he runs, the way he gets off, he's agile. We saw him go down and catch the football. He's athletic. You don't find guys that size that can move and maneuver and can play in the run game and all that like that. But I will say is I saw Pittsburgh make adjustments. They were playing zone. They were getting eaten up a little bit.
Finally. 15 years later, they finally made an adjustment.
Yeah, but then they went to man. Mm-hmm. And I thought they were doing pretty well. They were matching up. They was like, you know what, Miami, this worked for Miami. Let's get in it. The thing was, in that Miami game, when you run those pressure routes, Gronk wasn't there. So you have to plan that Gronk is there. So now we got to figure out what we're going to do. We got to go single with somebody the entire time. But we've got to take Gronk out of the ball game. I think they did a good job of trying to be physical, but you can't miss when you try to jam them. Like Sean Davis missed.
That is something that
they missed and he got inside. You can't give him 2 or 3 yards. You got to give a light jam. You just got to slow him down. Don't try to beat him up where you're going to knock him down. That's not going to happen. So when you miss at the line, that's going to turn into a big play. Now, they was able to get a little pressure on Brady. That's the second part. You got to get pressure. Mm-hmm. So if you got the initial jam and you got guys on top, don't give them that first read. Make them pull it down.
I don't care for anything that I saw on Sunday, Willie McGinest. I still feel sick.
It was a quality game.
I don't know. At least agree. 87 taunted after that 2-point.
He did.
He taunted. Should have gotten a flag, right?
He did, but he played it off. He was like, this guy?
Feels good to laugh, Willie. It feels good to laugh on a tough post-Week 15 show. Thanks for being with us there.
Always.
I hope you will be back. And I hope the Pittsburgh Steelers will
I'm
be
not
back
going
and we
anywhere.
can talk about
It's like the two franchises. They're not going anywhere.
Well, let's hope the Steelers go somewhere. That's the Foxborough. That's where I hope they go for the AFC title game. All right. Here we go. Maurice Jones-Drew, Colleen Wolfe coming up.
Dave Dameshek.
Yes, here he is, everybody. Number 32/number 21, the Jag, the Bruin, the Raider, the voice of the Los Angeles Rams on the radio. It's Maurice Jones-Drew. What's the poop, fella?
You know what, Shaq? Just happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to see you, Maurice. It really is. And we have the Wolf as promised on the way in just a second here. Let's pick up on what Willie and I were talking about. And this notion of, and I'm still sick about what happened in Heinz Field, but whatever. All right. So tells. That's interesting to me.
Right.
That the Patriots see that Ben Roethlisberger has certain tells at the line of scrimmage, what he's going to do. I remember Daniel Jeremiah pointing this out to me about 6 years ago, that anytime you see Drew Brees cock his head back like that, he's going deep because he's so short at the line of scrimmage. He has to pick his head up over the line to see the guys downfield.
Right.
That's an interesting, funny one. Is that basically a league-wide thing? Everybody, do all these guys have tells?
Everybody has tells. I mean, some guys it's their cadence. Some guys it can be how they stand.
Did you have one?
I used to have one as a rookie.
When you're getting the ball,
yeah,
you're doing something different.
I did it with my head. So pass plays, I would always scan left to right. Run plays, I would go like this, real quick. Right, just to make it just to try to sell it a little bit more. And one of our linebackers, Mike Peterson, was like, "Hey, I know when it's a run, and it's every time you do this." And I was like, "Oh, well, thank you, I appreciate it." So then I just kind of kept everything the same, and we just went from there. But it's different things. I remember my first year in the league, we were playing the Dolphins in the preseason, and our running back coach Kennedy Polamalu said. He was like, Zach, he's like, so they have a book. They always have books on linebackers and, you have scouts talk and all this stuff. But Fred was like, hey, every time this guy has his hands on his knees, he's blitzing, right? And this was our first game. So we didn't know if he was going to play. I was going to play a lot, and Fred wasn't going to play as much. A couple other guys were going to play. So we were preparing as if he was going to play. He didn't end up playing, so it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, we ended up playing him in week 12 or 13 down the road, and I ended up being in the game in that situation. His hands were on his knees, so I was like, oh, he's coming.
Wow, that's so cool. Because, yes, I certainly watch the running backs more than I do the QBs to try and figure out that. Can you tell by the way he's looking, the way his posture is he getting the ball here? I can't read that stuff.
No, I mean, everybody's different. Like some quarterbacks, they have their feet staggered where they're even. When they're taking a snap, some have 1 foot back. Sometimes it's one foot's back farther. It just depends. Like wide receivers, you can tell all the time what they're doing, though. Because there's some receivers that are just like, if it's a run play, they're just sitting out there like Jake. And then if it's a pass play, they're like leaned down, ready to go. So you just kind of try to make it the same so people can't get a jump on you, know what you're doing. But, yeah, I mean, that's how – those are the games within the game, though. We always talk about playing the game within the game. There's little things like – when you're watching tape, you can tell how people tackle if they close their eyes before, if they don't. So you kind of can set up how you're going to game plan. I mean,
that's one of my favorite things. But, of course, that requires superhuman reflexes to be able to read a defender and know that, because you've told the story, that there are certain guys that you would see as they would get close to you close their eyes literally before they hit you, and you know you have one extra juke in there to elude them.
Well, Eric Reed's a safety in San Francisco. He was a rookie, and I remember playing them in London, and they were slapping us. I mean, it was bad. But I knew that when we got to about 2 yards away, he would always duck his head. And anytime you duck your head, you just close your eyes. You're just hoping you grab something. So I was like, hey, man, like, don't do that. You know, like, next time you do it, I'm going to have to punish you, right? Just to let you know. And so he did it again, and I set him up because I think he thought that I was going to try to run him over. I just kind of moved out the way and let him go. But then also Dante Whitner, me and him, I've studied him a ton. He's a guy that, you know, similar to Ryan Clark, if they get you in a tight area, or Bernard Pollard, those guys, they're like similar body types. If they get you in the alley, they're going to fire off and try to just end you. So I knew how to prepare for those situations. But if we're in open space, they weren't going to do that. So then I knew I had the advantage in those situations. So you just learn how to play the game within the game. And I think a lot of people think like, oh, you just hand the ball off and you run. Like, no. Like, you get in that alley, you know, I want to say Bernard Pollard hit the running back for the Patriots. He rewound him.
Oh, yes, in the title game.
In the title game. That changed everything, remember?
I'm trying to think who that was. Yeah, he really leveled somebody. Was it a running back?
It was. He went to LSU. You guys got to get there. Running back from LSU.
Not Bolden.
No. It was then he ended up going to the Jets. I forgot his name.
You know
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can remember the play, and I remember that really felt like, whoa.
Yeah. And he saw him. But you have to know, if you study your opponent, you know that he's going to give you everything he has in that area. Because, see, when you go into an alley, what people don't understand is that Stephen Ridley. There you have it. Great find there. So
don't point behind the glass. I wanted to seem like I came up with it on my own.
I know, but I saw them working and doing a great job. So the alley is between the tight end and the wide receiver. And as they're blocking their defender, sometimes it gets kind of squeezed in a little bit. And if you look, there's like a little alley that you can run through. And so that is, you know, I used to funny joke that one of my boys used to tell, are you going to tip the lady or tip the guy? And he'd be like, yeah, I'm going to tell her don't walk in dark alleys at night. And so that was the running joke is when you get in that little alley as a running back, they are going to try to hit you. Right, and it's a dark alley. It's not nice in there, so you have to be prepared.
Trey Boston is big on that, and another guy, and I know you call him your cousin, and you're very close. TJ Ward. Let's talk about Monday Night Football. Oh my goodness,
he tried to destroy.
What about Devontae Freeman trucking a couple of guys, including TJ Ward? What do you think of that?
I mean, Devontae Freeman is a low to the ground, so he has great lower center.
People compare Freeman to Maurice Jones.
Yeah, I think we at one point in our careers, in my career and in his now, we had some similar traits. But he doesn't. I mean, he's a great runner out of the backfield. He shakes people. I mean, he made the one guy do the splits. I think it was Evans made him do the splits out there. So I mean, he's playing lights out. But that alley where he's running through, there's a reason he's running hard like that, because you know if you don't, and we've seen it. You've seen. I want to say he got hit against Dallas in the alley by a guy coming. Sometimes there's linebackers, sometimes there's safeties. When you go in that alley, it's crazy. I'll give you a great example. You guys know him as Shoelace. I call him Tim Denard Robinson from Michigan. They had him at running back, and I was coaching him as we played because he ran a 4.32. He had all the abilities, but when he ran the ball in college, everyone was blocked, right? Because he's a quarterback. So it was like quarterback sweep left, everyone's blocked, and you're just using your speed. And I said, listen, now there's going to be one or two guys. Guaranteed there's going to be one guy. There may be two. You got to understand when you get in this alley that you got to be able to drop your shoulder. And so we were playing Tennessee, and Bernard Pollard's there, and he runs in the alley. And he runs upright because he's a track guy. And I kept telling him, you have to get low. You have to get low. And sure enough, man, he didn't believe me. And he got met up. Got met in that alley. And I was like, after the play, I was like, come here. I'm like, what'd I tell you? He was like, I know, but I really didn't think anyone was going to be there. And so that alley is
well, he's like 180. What happened to Shoelace? That was a great nickname, and I don't understand why people tried to insist on it being Bernard. We had a Shoelace Robinson. That should have.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing for him
been a legend for a decade.
People think it's easy to transition to running back. Like, it's just natural. Like, we see Ty Montgomery doing this. Like, oh, anybody can play running back. Well, Ty Montgomery's been hurt the whole year. Like, he can't stay healthy because your body has to be conditioned for those hits. Your body has to.
You say that all the time, and I laughed at, or didn't laugh, but I was skeptical. But I've talked to a lot of football players who say that your body actually, like a callus, gets used to the hits. I mean, I don't think a doctor would agree with that.
Well, no, it does because you train a certain way. So Ty Montgomery put on 230. He became 225 pounds. But he's still not used to getting hit like that. And so he doesn't know how to protect himself in those situations. A lot of those hits that he takes where he comes out of the game and the ribs or hand or shoulder, it's because he doesn't know how to protect himself. And he hasn't played that position enough. Even if you played it in high school, I mean, that's one level. But college is a big level where you can play that position and be able to train your body how to protect yourself.
Let's talk about now. I think it's interesting. First of all, we don't need to talk about the Raiders too much here. Their season is all but finished here. But let's talk about your other two teams, Maurice. We like to check in on them and get your thoughts. First of all, your Jaguars. Since we've already started down this road, I think agree that this team is capable of going to the Super Bowl. Yeah. But are they better off? Because I feel like. Now so they were this close. They were the Jesse James play away, and of course they would need to win their last two games to hold on to it. But they were this close to being the 2 seed. Is it better for them? I know you don't want to play a wild card game if you don't have to, but in a way, I feel like the Jags are built to be better on the road in this sense. If you dominate a team defensively the way that the Jags can, I think it takes the air out of the home stadium. Right. And if you're on the road, like I think they're better served playing, let's say the Patriots or the Steelers on the road because if it gets to late in the second quarter and the home team has 3 points, then the whole place is going to get real nervous, and that's going to permeate down to the sideline.
I think that does happen sometimes, but we played Pittsburgh in 2007. That happened, and they came roaring back. That we had to come back, right? I feel like the Jags are built to play anywhere. To be honest, it doesn't matter who it is. And then the beautiful thing about it, I think I said this in Jacksonville when I was there, when I was talking to a lot of their people, like the one thing that they did that I can say was probably the smartest thing they've ever done was do that joint practice with the Patriots.
Because you keep bringing that up, and that must be something.
Because I tell you what, think about this. They've played everyone else, right? I mean, you played Kansas City last year. You played Buffalo last year, so you know what they're doing. You've already played Baltimore if they make it. You already played the Chargers if they were to make it. You've played Pittsburgh.
Whip Pittsburgh in Heinz.
In Heinz Field.
That's got to be is that the singular victory for them?
No. I think they had some other – I mean, I think the Chargers victory is the best one because they found a way to come back in OT and win the game, right? All those different things that happened. But then I also feel like, hey, Colleen, how are you?
Oh, look who it is, everybody. It's Philadelphia's own, and she's still going. She was getting challenged in the Philly Power Rankings. Oh, here we go. She's wearing velour like a Philly girl. I love it. A velour sweat jacket. Now you're just turning into self-parody, the Wolf.
Do you remember those juicy velour jumpsuits that everybody wore?
Yeah, you're wearing one right now. If I'd forgotten them.
Not everybody wore, but I didn't wear.
I had like an imitation one from Target.
No question.
Yeah.
This is Target. This is Tarjay.
Target's the best.
What a pleasure to see you once again, the Wolf. We're talking about the shakeup in the NFC just as you walk in here, and I think that the
AFC. We're talking about the AFC.
I know, but I was about to veer into that.
All right, maybe
finish
the AFC.
Go ahead, finish your thought. I'm sorry, I get distracted by the Wolf's velour.
So no question. But I feel like Jacksonville, they're not afraid of anyone. There is no mystique of any team where that does come into play a lot in the AFC. And that practice, and if you read the reports, if you go back and read the reports of how those practices went, like the Jacksonville Jaguars were whooping them every day. It wasn't even close. Like the receivers were dominating their DBs, even though a lot of the receivers were banged up. But then the Jags DBs were shutting down everyone. Like they were getting pressure on Tom Brady. So that practice breeds confidence at the end of the day. And when you end up playing against them, it's going to be like, all right, like we've already done this. You already know what we're going to do.
I think it's interesting in this way is that we always hear, and I always laugh at every locker room that ever goes deep into really in any sport. You always hear, no one outside this locker room believed in us. I feel like these Jags are different in that it's not any chip on the shoulder. It's like, well, yeah, we're the best players. Like, yeah, well, yeah, but you guys have never done. Yeah, but so what? Like, watch us play. We're better. Like Jalen Ramsey, kind of like, well, I'm the best player in the league.
So
kind
confident.
Of
Well,
their whole team is kind of. Paul Posluszny is the captain of the defense, right? They all listen to him when it comes to like how to study, work ethic, being a professional. And then there's another side of this defense where it's just like romper room, where they don't care. Like from what I hear is the time they get in the locker room, music is playing loud before the game. They don't care. Like guys are dancing around, having a good time, and they take that bravado, that swagger, whatever you want to call it, to the field. And then they literally, as a defense, don't stop talking the whole game. I mean, I heard it's like from the time like they're captains barking at the other team, like you already know what time it is. Like I don't even know how you showed up.
That would be a scary thing for me, whether it's Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger or anybody else. I would not want to play a team that is that's young and talented. We always hear about, give me veteran savvy. That's what we need. No. Give me young, athletic, fast. That's what would scare me.
Wait, what's the deal with the two receivers? Jaden Mickens and
the two undrafted guys are
killing
the league right now.
Do I need to pick them up in fantasy? Like, is this a thing?
I'm not in the ship, so I don't know. I got knocked out this week.
I am.
I beat my husband to go to the championship with Nick Foles. It was a crazy weekend.
Wow, muzzle tough to you, the Wolf.
Everything's
turning up everybody's way except mine, I guess, apparently right now. Actually, I am in my championship against Cousin Sal.
Oh, look at you.
In the kick-out league. Who will I kick out if I should?
Oh, my God. That's so much fun. I love this wrinkle.
I know. It's fun.
Who are you going to kick out?
I don't know yet. We'll have to see how it all plays out.
Who kicked you out?
Sal kicked me out after I kicked him out before.
So you're going to go back. You got to go back.
Do I go back at Sal if I defeat him?
Beat him, and then you kick him out.
Is there someone else with an S in your league name?
I'm trying to think. I'm sure.
Simmons, I guess.
Oh,
right?
yeah, Bill Simmons.
So what you do is you put like this guy is out, and you put a big S. And then you start ripping each letter off, and then it ends up being Simmons.
I have some people. I have some people who might need to be
They're on the list?
more nervous than other people. Yeah,
there you go.
That's right.
Well, let's go to the NFC because
I want to talk about the NFC, and I'm sorry, the Wolf, because I mean your team, they're a fascinating bunch. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. Before we do move on, the one thing I did want to ask you about because you're talking about the Patriots, do you see, because you mentioned the Jags physically dominating the Patriots there, the Wolf, I'll start with you. Do you, after watching the Steelers and Patriots game, do you feel more confident in the Patriots getting to the Super Bowl, or do you feel like, wow, now over these last few weeks, Patriots struggling a little bit, you see, I don't know, Willie talks about there is not really a blueprint, but it does seem to me that physically, that's where they can be had. You watch. I could see Fournette banging on them. I could see Bell doing it.
No, you know what? It's like everything goes their way all the time. Like, it's not even surprising that they ended up winning that game. That was a touchdown. Should have been a touchdown. I know the rule is the rule, what it is, whatever. I don't believe in it. I don't agree with it. But they're watching the fact that they won that game. Of course they're going to win more. Like, of course they're going to be fine. Everything breaks their way all the time. They're the Patriots.
Well, I think it's similar to what happened in Seattle with the Rams. Like, In order to beat the Patriots, you have to whip them. It can't like Miami whooped them.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like you can't have it be close with them. For some reason, they get a lot of the breaks, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is. And again, if that's the rule, then that's the rule. But I mean, the ball crossed the plane. I felt like it was a touchdown. The play after that, I don't know what to tell you. Right, I don't know how you do that. Just spike the ball, just going.
Fine, but I will say just to defend Seven a little bit.
No, there's no defending that. No defending that.
If
You're a vet. You've been
this is a
you've
tepid
been in the league 15 years or however long he's been. You spike the ball. It doesn't matter what comes off the sideline.
Right.
I agree with all that, but as I continue to look at this play, the one other this isn't really even a defense of him, but if he does throw that ball a little further ahead and a little lower, at minimum it's incomplete and they go to overtime.
Well, this is the issue, first and foremost. Whenever you don't run a spike play, you never run an in.
I know.
Because everyone's in there. You throw a fade. Just throw the ball out so you can throw the ball out of the end zone or it's incomplete. Right? Or it's either complete or out of the end zone. You don't throw a slant. And your guy,
bad job.
7, gives them the slant call. They slowed it down, and you see them look at him and give them the whatever their number is or whatever the signal is to run a slant, and the guy runs it.
I don't want to talk about it.
It was bad. It was really bad.
Let's get to it. The weekly Q&A as we jump into a little NFC talk.
It's time for the Q&A. Here we go. What do you say?
It's going to be a great day. It is time for the Q&A.
All right.
See, that gets better. Somehow it's getting better.
It's like wine. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, the Wolf. Your Eagles are, they survived their first test post Carson Wentz.
I mean, the Giants, what kind of test is that? Survived. I know. Come on, Jim Schwartz. What is going on with the defense? Was Carson Wentz actually the MVP of the defense? I'm freaking out a little bit.
I was going to tell you this. The Rams found out who Waldo is on that defense, and it's those two corners.
Jalen Mills.
Other than Darby. Was it Watkins?
Patrick Robinson?
Watkins and Mills?
Watkins and Mills are the two guys that people are going to attack the rest of the year.
It's a problem.
It is.
It's a problem.
And that's what you saw in that game. I mean, what did the King kid caught a pass on? It wasn't on Darby.
Tavares King.
It wasn't on Darby, was it? I think it was on Mills.
I think it was on Mills. But the fact that Eli had an amazing game, he hasn't done that in like 2 years. And then to do it against the Eagles, whose defense is supposed to be so stout.
Especially the specific matchup, that offensive line against that pass rush, that you would have figured the Eagles would eat them up.
I had a Eagle fan get in my mention and say, well, we all know that everyone plays each other tight in divisional games. Well, I saw a divisional game where it wasn't close at all.
That's right.
So don't
Rams
give me
Seahawks.
that. I don't want to hear that.
Well, so I was on the plane flying back, and we don't have live TV on the plane. And so I am living and dying by...
I told you got to switch flights. You tripping.
I have tried. I've flown out of Philadelphia, out of Newark, out of JFK. I've tried United, American, Delta. None of them have it. None of them. I've tried everything.
I thought we were on our way about a half decade ago to just standardly having live TV on every flight.
United has live TV.
If I
was a tease. Remember that every back seat had that little TV. Now it seems like that's inconsistent now.
Well, if I connected, I could do it. But like, it's already a 6-hour flight.
Yeah, I mean,
and the winter, whatever. So I'm not going to sit here and complain about my flights, but I'm sitting there and I'm living and dying.
I 4 minutes after she started complaining about it. I'm not going to sit here and complain.
By my Twitter timeline, and I'm watching like all of the responses just like go, and I see that the Eagles basically are like about to get beat at the very end of the game, and I seriously started screaming on the plane when they didn't. Screaming. It's fine.
I don't know, the
Wolf.
Wolf.
What you got to do, yo?
It was the most stressful thing
I don't
ever.
know, because I really believe in the emotional aspect of getting into the postseason and how you perceive yourself as a team. It feels this way to me, having watched for many moons. It seems like you want to have sort of a devil-may-care attitude. I've always been struck by that it's not a coincidence that Marty Schottenheimer and his chief disciple, Bill Cowher, both struggled in big games that their teams were supposed to win, because I think they create a mindset in their team. Man, I mean, it's fun to watch in NFL films when in the pregame, man, there's a Colleen. This is your opportunity to etch your name into history. What you do in these next 60 minutes will define you for the remainder of your life. It's like, Hey, coach, I don't need that additional pressure, man. I don't need that frame of mind. Like, in a weird way, that dispassionate Bill Belichick, just go do your job, everybody. I'm not going to give you a pep talk, is better. I almost would rather be the Jags, like, let's go on the road. I'd rather be the team that's where nobody thinks we're going to win, so we may as well just go play anyway. And I almost feel like the Eagles, as much as I think you don't want to be L.A. traveling up to cold Philly. I don't think you want to be New Orleans or any of those teams.
I mean, New Orleans has done it before, though, in Philly, in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I think the NFC, and this is something I said probably like 4 weeks ago, that number one seed, the one thing you don't want to go through, Minnesota. No one wants to go through.
But I wanted to, because how fun would it be for them to host the NFC title game, no matter who wins it?
That would be bananas.
I heard it's going to be so hard to do that though, because the league, they would have to host it and then have like 10 days to turn around. Or what is it? How many ever? Is it 2 weeks? I want to say now.
Would you
because of the bye?
Yeah. Would you guys take your luggage if you are the visitor? Let's say it's the Saints, and you're going to play the Vikings in the title game. Do you take a fortnight's worth of clothing so that you don't have to go back to New Orleans?
Because you have to go back to New Orleans.
For what?
For that week.
I wouldn't. I'd be like, nope. That would be my announcement.
You have to get
I'd in the locker room after the divisional round victory, and we're going up to Minnesota next week. I'd be like, I'm packing for a month.
Oh my God, you completely jinx yourself.
We'll see you Vikings, and we'll see you next Sunday. And I'm packing all my stuff, and I'm just going to leave it in the locker there for the Super Bowl. That's a great thing if you do that.
I think you were talking about the speech and then the pressure that comes with it. Imagine bringing a month's worth of clothes and then losing. But I do think that sometimes these coaches they talk too much. Like, look, we've done all the talking throughout the week. Like, it's time that we should just relax, have a good time. Like, I only go back to this because we called the game, but the Rams, like, before the game, in the hotel, like, on the flight up, they were just chilling. Like, it was like guys are playing music. That. I mean, guys are asleep halfway through the walkway. You're stepping over people trying to go to the bathroom. Like, they knew that they had put the work in that week to do what they had to do. Now it was just kind of trying to put the pen to paper to make it work. But, like, there was no extra, like, we did all this.
But you know what, though? I feel like, see, you're in it since high school and beyond. The Wolf and I represent the fan. And the fan, the incongruity, I agree that that's what you want the players to be. But the fans, we love these hype. You know, I made essentially before the Steelers Patriots game what essentially amounts to a hype video.
Oh, I loved it, by the way. We had it on game day morning.
I think that's what I think the fans love that, like, this is what this is all about. It all boils down the legacy of this Steel, all that kind of stuff. But you don't want the players doing that.
But no. So I'm saying, like Tomlin did that like 3 weeks beforehand. They were interviewing. He's like, oh yeah, we know we got the Patriots in a couple weeks. Like, we already know what time it's gonna be a huge game. It is what it is.
What coach did you play for that was the coolest in terms of just like being chill about everything and not over the top?
Gus Bradley is the most chillest coach ever.
Really?
Like, I was a vet, so he was like, "Oh, you're good. Like, I'm coaching these young guys. I got to make sure, like." But then when I was with Coach Del
Maurice
Rio,
leaves the locker room on Sunday afternoon. See you next Sunday morning, Maurice.
Hey, we've had some situations. I'm not situations like that, but not me. But I remember us playing Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, and Coach Del Rio like saying this speech about visualizing the game being over and us driving back through that tunnel. Right, and being victorious, and like, yeah, that was great and everything, but dude, I got to make sure that I don't get my teeth kicked in, right, throughout these 60 minutes. So, I mean, it just depends on, I don't know. I've had all time. I've had Coach Malarkey, who has been a stickler, right? Like, so you see the Titans. I know what those guys are going through right now. I've been in that situation where, guys are going to be they're putting pressure on you every day to be the best and do those certain things. And then I've had Gus Bradley where he's just like, hey man, like, you're here for a reason. Like, we brought you here. Go do your thing. And
so in the 21st century, in other words, Newt Rockne plays in movies, but it doesn't play in NFL locker rooms.
I can't imagine. Imagine if you had a boss like that.
What?
What's what?
Like if a boss was constantly breathing down your neck, pressure on you, you're better than this, or someone who was like more of like a supportive.
Every Tuesday, imagine this. Every Tuesday here at NFL Network or wherever you work, they bring people in to take your job. And you see them. Like, you're in the locker room like, hey, man, what are you doing, man? Oh, yeah, they just brought us in.
It's my worst
tryout.
nightmare.
Like, every Tuesday it's like that. And then sometimes they'll do it on a Wednesday and Thursday right in front of you. And so when I tell people, like.
It's like Hunger Games.
It is. It really is. And so literally you are like, you see these guys 36, 37 years old, full beards, gray, because they're stressed out all the time. Like, that was one of the reasons I got out of the game so early was like, it's just too stressful now. It's not fun anymore. I stopped having fun because I'm looking around like, dude, am I next? I'm getting older. Like, when's the guy coming to get me?
Oh, I would hate
like,
that.
It's the worst thing ever. And so as a young kid, you're like, I don't care about it. But as you get older each year, you start to look at it. I remember I just got paid a lot of money, and then the Jags drafted Rashad Jennings. I was pissed.
Oh, my God.
I was pissed. Because I was like, you guys didn't even give me a chance to be the guy. Like, what are you doing? And it wasn't because of Rashad. It was because you just paid me and told me I was going to be the guy. You just drafted another guy there to take my spot already. Like, come on, what are you? And then you drafted another guy after that. And then you drafted another guy after that.
Imagine how Glennon felt.
Right? Think about that.
How about, well, it is interesting what it does tell you about the mental fortitude of your guy, especially a quarterback. I don't want a quarterback who struggles the way Mark Sanchez did when they brought Tim Tebow in.
Yeah.
Yes, it theoretically will make you stronger mentally, but
But Alex
not if you
Smith,
crumble.
we saw the opposite with Alex Smith.
Alex Smith soars with
Look at Tom Brady.
Right.
Think about Tom Brady. How many guys they drafted in the second round, third round behind him that don't make it or they get traded away?
Yeah.
Ryan Mallett, Brian Hoyer was there. Jimmy Garoppolo, how good Jimmy Garoppolo is right now, and he was the backup to Tom Brady. Like, it'd have been easy for the Patriots to be like, all right, Jimmy, like, we're going to let you go. We're going to let Tom go, give you the reins. No. Like, and so it's pressure every day you step on the field. Like, it's not, and that's what I try to explain to people. Sunday is the fun day. That's why it's like, oh, yeah, let's have it. Monday through Saturday is stressful because literally you can do one thing wrong, and they'll be like, all right, you got to sit down. You're done.
Oh, my God.
And it's literally that. And then when you get in the playoffs,
There's no way.
That's a different type of stress.
Well, the other thing that I've heard from a number of pro football players is that the hitting
everything amplifies. No, but
ratchets up, and guys who have never been in a playoff game get hit. Guys who've been in the league for a while get hit in January, and they're like, whoa, what the? Oh, it's up another level here now.
Well, I always tell people we went to the divisional round, and don't get me wrong, it was one of those ones. It was like the hitting was like, we were so used to hitting it was okay. It's the fourth preseason game to me is like the worst game ever in football because
that's so interesting.
If you think about it, there's especially the way they're doing it now, where they're just cutting. You have 90 people, and then you just cut all of them off at the end. Like, that's the worst game because everyone's fighting for a spot. Like, your livelihood is on the line, and don't be a vet in that fourth preseason game having to play. Like, it's crazy. So you have that part of it, and then you go to the playoffs where you have like the best of the best playing at a high level, and you got to run and do those things. I mean, the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game 2 years ago. Yes, it was a rivalry, but it was also
game.
Win or go home. There is no series in this situation like basketball or like baseball where you can mess up one game and we'll just bounce back. No.
I always appreciate the pro football teams from Ohio because they both serve as a reminder. No matter how bad things get for Steelers fans, it could always be worse. It could be one
awful.
of those two people, one of those two teams. Hey, Emma VP, let's get to a couple more questions here, shall we? And let's start off with this one. I don't know who sent this. I think we'll see it here in a second here. Does Mike Zimmer deserve more credit for the job he's doing, which is weird? This one comes to us from Mikey Harris, 88. And I feel like it's weird when you first hear it because it sounds chip on the shoulder. I feel like Mike Zimmer has gotten credit.
What does the issue have to do with anything? He didn't have to do anything with that.
With what? With AP?
Yeah. With the whole situation, the league suspended him. It was over.
I guess dealing with not having him,
AP
thinking that they were going to have him, and then not.
The injuries, his own health, so on and so forth. Case Keenum, a lot of people.
The quarterback situation there alone, look at what.
I guess in light of the fact that everybody is giving it, and rightly, the Coach of the Year award to Sean McVay,
as it should be,
right. But Zimmer deserves. I guess the bottom line is, I guess we basically need to affirm the question. Yeah, he deserves a lot of credit for what he's done.
You got to remember, they did this last year.
I know
they did it last year with Sam Bradford, and then somewhere along the lines, this is.
That offensive line was the issue,
and they went and they addressed it. But I think this is the biggest thing that I try to explain to a lot of people about coaches. when you're in the building till 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 1 a.m., and then you're back at the building at 6 a.m., there's a thing called sleep that you don't get.
Yeah.
And that's where your health issues come from. That's where you start to get hurt. Like when you're in the building and you're, again, that pressure, that constant stress of trying to pick the perfect play all the time, that affects your mind, body, and soul. And I've seen coaches have to like miss practices, miss days because they're at the hospital trying to make sure they didn't have a heart attack. All these different things.
Dick Vermeil comes to mind. There are a number of coaches who have had legitimate
even Bruce
health
Arians,
issues.
yeah.
Right.
So think of and this is just from someone that I know, a couple people I know in that organization. He was like that last year. And 2 years ago, he was like that, like where he was in the building all the time. This is the first year they said that Coach Zimmer's kind of been, hey, get out of here by about 6, 7 o'clock, guys, or 10 o'clock or whenever it is.
Wow.
Make sure you get home because you have to get rest. This is a long season.
Chaz Knoll, back in the day when coaches were obsessively sleeping on the couch for 3 hours, would say, I forget the exact quote, but it was something to the effect, if you don't know what you're doing by end of business, then you're doing something wrong.
Spagnuolo even said something the first week he was in there, and he was like, my wife is already yelling at me because I'm not sleeping, and I've been here all week.
And he's crazy. Listen. Tony Dungy said it best, and I'm going to get back to Coach Zimmer because he does deserve credit. Tony Dungy said it best. If you were working somewhere else, and it took you extra time to do what everyone else is supposed to do in a certain amount of time, you're going to get fired. So why in football, why in college or in coaching is it you got to outwork the guy? No. That's just people that don't know what they're doing. And for someone along the lines, they were like, oh, well, this is what I'm going to do.
Do we know what Belichick? That's a good question for McGinest or somebody else. But is Belichick a guy who's just always burning the midnight oil? Or
it seems like in football too, especially like even in this environment where it's like everyone is trying to outdo and prove themselves, outdo the next person's. Like I watched every single minute of every single game. I've spent all day like just watching film and watching tape and not having any type of life whatsoever.
When people tell me that, I just laugh. Because at the end of the day, it's football.
It's like,
congratulations.
It's not like that with any other sport.
This is maybe would offend you and your ilk. But that's what you just said is exactly right. It's just football. This thing of this ongoing thing that, and it permeates all levels. It's in personnel and in scouting and in X's and O's. Dave, I don't think you really understand football. Or the condescending the hierarchy goes, head coaches at the podium condescend to the media, and then the hard-boiled media guys condescend to people like me, and then those people condescend to the fans. You don't really understand.
Exactly.
It's football. If it were that hard, how would these
people... We all enjoy a game.
When people tell me I've watched every play, I'm like, why?
Like you didn't.
Why? For what?
You didn't need to watch that game this week.
No,
it doesn't matter.
It's so funny. I remember.
You don't really get it's football.
I have a couple.
I'm not building a rocket that's trying to land on Mars.
Well,
You're just smart with your time and efficient with what you do watch.
It's all it is college. When you go to college as a freshman, you learn time management. You learn exactly what to do. Somewhere along the line, coaching, and I have buddies that are in the coaching ranks and in the scouting department. And I told them, they'll call me, hey, man, like, I heard you say this. I'm like, yeah, bro, because guess what? I just watched the tape, and the first thing I saw, I was like, you know what? This is what I like about this guy. This is what I don't like about this guy. I'm not going to sit here and study one person for 13 days. Because at the end of the day, what I saw in the first hour is going to happen on the 13th day and the last hour.
I don't know if this is 100% accurate or not, but I've asked, I think, Ross Tucker and Sean O'Hara and Jeff Schwartz, our food block, our offensive lineman gang, each this question, and they all have the same answer. I say, like, how long does it take you to divine whether or not a lineman can make it in the NFL? How many series do you need? Oh, I can see 5 plays.
That's it.
Really?
I can tell you that. I can see with his posture, the way he sits. I can tell you if he's good.
That's really interesting.
You can scout. And I don't want to take away from scouting because it does take a certain eye. You have to have a certain eye for talent, and then you have to be innovative. Like, okay, this guy may be not good at this, but he may be good at that to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. But it should only take you it should literally take you one person. It should take you about an hour at most, and that's with you like, all right, blocking, hitting every check box they have or whatever box they have, checking every box. Like when I scout these dudes, and 9 out of 10 times I'm right. Like it's not like scouting running backs is not hard. So Alvin Kamara, I said, listen, I didn't see him run between the tackles, so I can't scout that because I never saw him in college do it. but I know that he's a weapon on the outside running routes and doing other things. Guess what? I've never seen him do it, so I can't comment on that.
And it's probably accelerated for you, obviously, having played and having watched so much film and everything. Like, it just comes easier for you to see those little nuances.
Well, I'll tell you, we used to watch tape, and literally we'd watch the same plays over and over. And I'm like, Coach, why are we watching, like, this week 12? We don't have any new plays. And how these are plays they gave us. So you watch, not only do we watch these plays in meetings with you, you watch them before, and then you're going to go and watch them again because something's going to change.
Right.
Let's make a bet, and this is going to be a long bet. It's going to be a long
Ooh,
time
I like the
before
sound
we
of this.
pay
Okay.
this one off.
Yeah.
But let's do it anyway. Let's figure out. Let's each, I don't know, we'll figure out the specifics of it, but let's each ID, like, I don't know, 5 guys, 10 guys that are big name guys in the draft and say this guy will make it, this guy won't make it, and 1 year from now we'll decide. We'll see, because I have a sneaking suspicion. I mean, I will tell you, I don't evaluate defensive tackles and how they're going to translate into the NFL because I have no ability to figure that out. But this notion that you don't really know what you're looking for in an NFL QB, I can get pretty close.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. Do you know that Aaron Donald was passed up by 13 teams?
Because he was smallish, right? I wouldn't know if he would translate or
crazy.
not.
Like, think about that. There's guys that have been Tom Brady. And I'm not weak because Tom Brady in college was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he wasn't like just Peyton Manning in college type of thing. But those dudes get wrong more times than they're right. There's like a 40% successful rate.
That's right.
In scouting.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, the really good teams hit at about 58%. The really bad teams hit at about 42%.
Where
Either
did the
way, you're
Browns
awfully
hit?
close to 50-50 there. Right. So it's not like you're not in. None of these scouts or personnel guys are infallible, and yet that doesn't prevent them from condescending at every turn.
Imagine being
we
a scout.
fans. How dare we
Like,
weigh in on something?
I beat myself up over game picks every week, and I'm like, I can't believe I missed that one. Like, I can't imagine being a scout for a team and then missing a talent like Aaron Donald in the draft.
Yeah, there's.
That's a great point.
Can you imagine? I would shame myself and beat myself up forever about stuff like
that scout that was like, Aaron Donald is going to change the game at defensive tackle, and we got him at 13 with the Rams. Right? And to think about that, what is that guy doing now? I don't even know who that guy is, but whatever he's doing now, somebody needs to find him.
I can't believe we went so long on all this in what I consider to be compelling conversation. We barely got to any questions. I want to get one more in here, Emma VP. We got to do this.
But yes,
one.
Mike Zimmer does deserve credit.
This is the last we'll sit
Circling
with
back
the
to
Wolf
Mike Zimmer. High five.
Before the Christmas holiday arrives, so I want to get this in. Worst holiday treat. The Wolf, we start with you.
There's no such thing as a
There's no
worst
such thing.
holiday treat.
Eggnog. Well, Dave.
I love
Drew
eggnog.
Drew Perkins asks about eggnog, candy cane, fruit cake.
Is eggnog have like vodka in it?
Well, no, I make it with rum.
You make it with rum.
I can do one because it's kind of heavy. But I'm going to have eggnog tonight. We're doing a little Christmas thing at our house.
Don't do. Thanks for the invite. You
can come. It's just me, John, and my friend Kristen.
People buy eggnog. You may not like it with the heavy. Like the one you buy in the carton at the grocery.
With some cinnamon in it? It's
go the extra mile, the Wolf. Get a recipe online, get a really good one, and make
scratch?
it. It's really good.
That's like drinking peppermint schnapps.
No, it's not remotely like that.
I think I got sick from those one time.
Yeah, right?
I don't know.
It has nothing to do with that. The correct answer is, go ahead, Maurice. I'll weigh in.
All that stuff that was down there, I was like, ew. Except for I only like cookies. I like the gingerbread cookies. That's about it.
I don't even like those. But I'll tell you what's bad is the worst of all candies. Well, maybe black licorice. Black licorice is the worst of all
candy. No one gives you that during now, though.
Gross.
No. But of all the holiday treats, candy canes.
Candy canes?
It's because they look nice and they fit. They're this iconic item associated with the holiday, but it allows everybody to just ignore the fact that they don't taste.
They're not orange. They're red.
The candy.
They're red and white.
What'd you say?
Candy cane.
Oh,
you're thinking candy corn.
I was thinking candy corn.
Give me a candy corn over a candy cane any day.
They're more of like a decoration.
Candy cane with the I don't like the regular red and white ones. I like the rainbow ones that you can buy and they have different.
Yeah, well, I'm not counting those.
Those are
the best ones. Yeah, those are the best ones.
Maurice, did you earlier? When I said Newt Rockney, you didn't. I
don't know who that is.
Newt Rockney.
No, who is that?
I don't know who it is either. I was just kind of going along.
You don't know who Newt Rockney is?
I was trying to gloss over it, but I got to come clean now.
Yeah. This is the no.
I don't know.
Show.
Who is it?
Wait a second. You don't know who Newt Rockne is.
You sound like my husband. Like,
Who is that?
I don't know. No.
You ever heard of the Gipper?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out there and win one for the Gipper.
I've heard of that, but I don't know.
Is he the Gipper?
Newt Rockne is one of the most legendary coaches in football history.
No, he's not.
What? Well, no, he's not. I mean,
Can't be.
he most certainly is. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Where did he coach?
When did he coach?
He coached Notre Dame.
Oh, that's why, because I don't pay it. Notre Dame. No, like, who goes there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants to be in the middle of South Bend?
I want to say,
Indiana,
because
that
I
was
see
my
him back
grandmom's
there.
favorite
Emma
team.
VP, we have a hard and fast. We got to stop right now.
You can go a few more minutes.
All
I don't
right,
see
I wanna-
Rosenthal lurking
I want to
yet.
do this real quick here. Wait, Rosenthal's back there?
I don't see him
No,
lurking
he-
yet,
no,
so
he's-
you're good.
No, he can't
All right.
drop
He
his
set his
stuff off.
laptop down, but
Hey,
he left.
Keep
Hey,
him
Ken,
away from me today. I don't want anything to do with that guy right now.
He's the guy that watches all the tape.
win better luck next time, Dave. Better luck.
Kent,
Yeah.
what's going on with Miami?
What?
Give it to Kent Brown. Okay, there's so many good questions here that
What
we
do you mean
could
what's
get
going
to.
on with Miami?
I
They're
mean,
going
you
to
guys,
the Orange Bowl.
You guys can't beat a quality team.
They beat Notre Dame by 33
That's
points.
not a quality team.
They're
They did
ranked in
not
the
win
top
one for the
15.
Gipper.
Yeah, but then
Dude,
you
Kent
lost to Pitt.
Brown.
Then you
Kent
lost to
Brown's a
Pitt.
traitor to Pittsburgh, dude. He's a traitor. He roots for the Miami
he
Hurricanes
lost
to beat Pitt.
Whose
And then they
accent
lost. Then
is
they got
that?
slapped.
Kent
like
Brown's
I know.
accent.
Yeah, it happens.
Dude,
now
it
it
happened.
happens.
Dude, you seen Roethlisberger on that last play. What's he
Dude.
doing, dude? Should have spiked that thing. Go to overtime, dude.
Yeah, that
Right?
was a bad throw. It really was.
Kent Brown, but by the way, Kent Brown has impeccably bad timing for texting me during Pittsburgh sporting events. He's a Pittsburgh native, of
I
course.
love it.
He texted me in the third period of Penguins playoff
Oh,
games
no.
like, what a goal that was. Like, man, don't tweet me. I have children. I'm DVR in these games. I can't be watching everything live like you. Devil may care. Why?
Ooh.
I
You don't watch it live?
I'd like to. I have children. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, these
I'm
were
parent.
Eastern
them
Conference
down?
Championship playoff games. These weren't like the
Thank
first
you.
round.
Well,
of the
this
first.
sounds
Wow.
like
All
if
right,
you're
don't
a
take a
true
bath.
sports
Hey,
fan,
hey, babies, no dinner for you tonight. I got to watch
no,
Crosby
you're
and
supposed to
Company.
cook it beforehand, and then they're supposed to sit down like a true fan, like my kid. So here, I got a great
One and
story.
a half year
This
old.
is why I only have dogs.
My oldest son was born after our playoffs, so he never witnessed the Jags in the playoffs. So he was so excited to find out that the Jags won that he's been talking trash to my other son,
No.
who was a Raiders fan, who last year was all on his back about being a Jags fan. So he was like, "Oh,
This
Dad,
is so funny.
I don't care. Anything can happen. The Jags went to the playoffs." That's what he told me. So it's a beautiful thing. So guess what he does?
That's fun.
He sits
Popping
down-
Bortles.
Hey, popping Bortles. Having a good day. You like that. He sits down and he watches Warriors basketball because we're all big Warriors fans. Jaguars football on Sundays if they don't have anything to do. Or he'll text me like, "How are the Jags doing in the middle of the Rams game?" I'm like, "Bro, I don't know."
Warriors
Aw.
Sixers. What a finals we got in store for us.
Oh,
Did they win
my
last night? I think.
I
they
don't
put a
know. By
whipping
the way,
on
I don't know if
Kobe's
the
team.
Warriors are gonna survive the West. There might be some challengers.
Who?
out there.
Houston? Come on.
That game the other night against
Oh.
the Thunder, Embiid was so good.
But Russell Westbrook had the last laugh.
I want to
I-
ask about this real quick. Kent Brown's on the microphone, and he texts me about 21 seconds before the Steelers and Patriots kick off in Heinz Field. Not about the Steelers game either. Just text me right before, like, "Yo, dude, me and my brother were talking. What college has produced the best NFL triplets?"
Oh.
I think it's a fascinating question.
It is.
Notre Dame has produced that, and we're not talking about college deeds. We're talking about guys they went to the same college and who had the best NFL careers. Notre Dame
Oh, okay.
goes Montana and Tim Brown, and I guess you go and Jerome Bettis.
Bettis or Paul Hornung.
or Paul
one of the
Hornung.
two.
I think you probably
Michigan
go
should
Hornung
be up there then.
No, not really.
I thought
you-
Who's their running back?
They've had a bunch of them.
Ty Wheatley.
You have.
Who's their receiver? Braylon Edwards?
No, that's as of late. I thought they've.
Amani Toomer? They don't have a top-tier receiver.
Who's the U's? The best one, the one that's hard to beat, and
He's going to say Pitt.
well, guess what? I'm also then going to say Marino.
I just told you
Go
Miami.
Marino.
I'm going to go Marino,
Miami has
Dorsett.
it.
Tony Dorsett is
Yep.
one of the 5 best running backs of the Super Bowl era, even though people don't seem to acknowledge that
Florida
any
could be
longer.
one too.
And then Larry Fitzgerald's a top 5 receiver
wow.
in NFL
Why not?
history,
Why
too.
not Florida?
That's a great one, yeah.
I don't know how you're going to beat that.
Who's Florida's quarterback? Running back, they have Emmitt Smith. Who's their receiver? They don't have a great Collinsworth. Like, who would it be?
Percy Harvin.
What
Yeah.
about those?
But here's Miami's.
How about
Jim
that-
Kelly, Either Frank Gore or Edgerrin James for career
told you.
Gore.
The fact that they have those two.
And then Michael Irvin. That's really
okay.
strong.
Well, that doesn't beat Pitt.
No, but it's close.
Well,
It's close, but it doesn't beat Pitt.
I'd rather take his quarterback than yours.
You would not rather have Jim Kelly than Dan Marino.
He went to the Super Bowl 4 times. Dan Marino never went.
The Wolf.
I don't know. When you have two running backs
Yeah,
that are that level,
But here's the underrated one.
I got to go with Kent on this one.
The underrated one, Emma's Syracuse Orange. You have McNabb at
McNabb.
quarterback, but
Okay.
then they have Jim Brown
Yep.
or Larry Zonka, but
Or-
it's Jim Brown. And then Marvin Harrison or Art Monk at receiver.
Wow.
That's
or
really
Joe
Harrison.
Morris, too. I know he's not going to beat out Jim Brown, but he's, he was
That's
no
right.
slouch
McNabb and
himself.
Harrison played a year together, too.
I'm trying to. UCLA had to have a wide receiver, man. I'm just trying to think.
Freddie
who.
J.J. Stokes, Freddie Mitchell,
Those are
X!
though. Those are the guys.
Mike
that-
Sherrard.
Michigan
that's
State,
about it.
Michigan State's the one that you brought up that's pretty underrated.
Yeah, Michigan
Who are
State,
you gonna say?
Earl
Matt Bell?
Morrill or Kirk Cousins, so it's not as good a
No.
quarterback. But
No.
Earl Morrill had won more
I don't
games
know
in
who
the
that
undefeated 72 season for the
Me
Dolphins than Bob Greasy
What about
did.
Navy? What about Navy or Army? Wouldn't they? be
Ooh,
up there?
that is a great one. I don't know.
That's one that people forget about, too.
Yeah, because back in the day, they were like the powerhouse in college, right? So they had
Tailbacks,
You have
quarterbacks.
Staubach, obviously.
No
so you're-
receivers, though.
They should have had. You got to look it up. I think
That's
they.
what hurts
Napoleon
some.
McCallum
not
at running back. It was good. But also, what about Stanford?
Ooh, no, Cal. I was gonna say Cal.
Well, Stanford has James Lofton, Andrew Luck, or John Elway, so obviously Elway. I don't know who their runner
Cal
is.
has the best current
Darren
triplets
Nelson
in the league because you would have Aaron Rodgers, Keenan Allen, and
Marshawn Lynch.
beast mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best current one. For
Holy in hell, that's a
and
great
they were
one.
and
This
they
is
were
a great
almost there at the
question.
same time too. And guess who beat them?
This
UCLA.
guy.
UCLA
I'd like
slapped them.
What's
old-fashioned
crazy is
way.
so Texas doesn't have a good quarterback
No.
ever. UCLA is
Troy
not in this conversation. USC's best quarterback is Carson Palmer.
Right.
Yeah, USC would have a
They don't-
really good one. Lynn Swann, Carson Palmer, and then either Marcus Allen or O.J. Simpson.
When
That's
you
pretty
got
obviously
when you
the
got
juice.
Yeah.
the juice, then you got the game.
Yeah, you got to go.
OJ
but
OJ's the
Carson
best-
Palmer, so that renders them irrelevant in
Yeah,
this
Carson.
conversation.
Well, you better hope that someone
Isn't
new
that
comes
weird?
out.
Oklahoma,
They got some because you got Adrian Peterson.
You'd almost have to do it like on a
You
point
can't
Sam
consider,
Bradford.
You can't consider Troy Oak. If you considered Aikman
Right.
a quarterback for Oklahoma, sure, but he didn't finish.
He left as like a sophomore or something.
Right.
I was gonna say this. O.J. Simpson is the best running back to ever play football, and people try not to say that, but for you to rush for 2,000 yards in 14 games, just think about it. His season was over last week, and he had 2,000 yards.
he's the only guy to ever do it, and people like to
Unbelievable.
forget about
Really
that part of
incredible.
it. You're absolutely right. The two guys who suffer. Actually, Eric Dickerson kind of falls into
He's
this
right
too.
there. He's right
If you want to evaluate, I mean, it is a different sort of. Your evaluation should be, I think, is not the same as evaluating who the best quarterback of the Super Bowl era is, because a quarterback, his window should be if he gets bad luck and gets injured and gets on some bum teams for too long, that's an issue. But that guy should play 12 or 15 years. Good running backs, don't try and evaluate them. Frank Gore's great, and he probably winds up in the Hall of Fame. But longevity, to me, is not and Jerome Bettis
can't.
and those guys are fine. The guys who have at running back that 5-year window, and those guys, and look up their numbers, and it's hard to argue against. O.J. Simpson, Earl Campbell, and Eric Dickerson. Look at what those guys did for 5-year windows
Amazing.
there, and it's just monstrous. I'm with you. O.J. gets slept. Well, I mean, I guess he deserves it.
Jesus.
I'm not
Yes,
gonna-
let's dig into
Let's
that
try
a
to
little
make
bit
a
more.
serious-minded case for O.J. Simpson and why we need to appreciate him more as a society.
I'm out of here.
Now,
I'm taking my velour and I'm leaving.
we can all agree that the candy canes are bad, though, right? I want to think of
I don't
one-
like to eat
I like
candy
'em.
canes. I like to decorate with candy.
One, I want to say one
always
thing. Emma
love
VP is a Grinch because she doesn't want us to talk about Christmas. But I like those peanut blossoms. Well, the ones that are like they have peanut butter kind of cookie, and then you take the Hershey Kiss. And
I don't
you
even know
push
what
it
that
down.
is.
You never had one of those.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you, we used to decorate the tree, and then the candy canes we'd eat them after Christmas.
Yeah.
As the tree.
As we wrap it up, best Christmas gift you ever got, the Wolf.
Oh my God. I have no idea.
Got a good one when you were a little kid?
I got a Skip It that I really liked, and Go Go My Walking Pup. I remember that was a thing that I was really into.
Maurice?
I don't even know what that is.
Or Light Bright.
I mean, my best gift was always like clothes.
Clothes.
Yeah, just because
Light, bright clothes. Mine was the gift of getting to be with my family.
Oh, you guys set me up on this
that
one.
was a setup for him.
What the heck?
And
Whatever. I'm still going with light, bright.
And it's been a thin slice of heaven.
I mean, I guess I'm just a better person than you guys. To me,
You know what? I don't know.
I understand.
Have
the
you guys
true
ever
meaning.
used light, bright before? Have you ever played light, bright?
I don't know what that
You're-
It might be life changing.
You know what?
For you.
Now that I'm thinking about it, you're right. Forget this time with the family. Light, bright it is.
Light.
No, actually, it's in television. 1980. We got that in television. That was a life
Ooh.
All right, for the Wolf, play the music real quick again because I'm not possibly going to be able to get that one done. Go ahead, Emma VP. All right, for Emma
see
VP,
Rosie
we had great
behind her right
times in Emma VP and I had good times visiting the banks of the Three Rivers. That was nice. Eddie Spaghetti, everybody behind the glass, have a happy holidays. The Wolf, you too have a good one.
Thanks. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you. Well, we do it all. Maurice, your family, happy holidays to you. Happy holidays to, well, one more time. See,
Oh my God.
You know what? Can we bring Rosenthal in here and give him the ceremonial
Rosie, come in
Christmas
here.
whipping for what his team did? Just very quickly. Because I do legitimately want to ask the king who sits on the throne of ease here on around the
We'll see how easy that throne is when them Jaguars come to town.
I hope it's the Jaguars, not the Ravens. That's the team I'm working.
Is that true?
Yeah.
They don't have an offense.
I have a nightmare of going to cover the Ravens in Minneapolis this year. I feel like this is going to happen.
All purple, the Grimace Bowl. That'd be fun if it were Vikings and
No, it
Ravens.
wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
Well, all right. It's not what I'm rooting for. But for real, how do you live with yourself?
How does the Steelers defense not get a stop at the end?
They got to stop. Well, I mean,
How about
John Davis has to catch that ball.
How about the Steelers offense don't go three and out with 2:45 to go?
I
How
feel
about
like
Ben Roethlisberger doesn't throw a terrible interception that another top 5 quarterback's not going to throw? Do any of those things, then you can start
Another
complaining.
I agree, but as we talked
Or whatever,
about,
another great
Russell Wilson
another good
was-
quarterback.
You going to put Russell Wilson in top 5? Because he played.
That's fair.
That was a
That's
bad.
fair. I'm saying that was a terrible
game
throw.
for him.
It's one of the
I
worst
agree.
plays.
No,
of his career.
of course I agree. But
Tom's
are you
throw
now?
was bad, too. He just didn't capitalize on it. Would you
Whose?
have docked Tom for that pick if Sean Davis would have caught it?
That was a tip pass at the line of scrimmage. I mean,
Is it
I-
an excuse? So was Roethlisberger's.
No, it was.
It was tipped.
You
It was,
just
tipped in
making
it was
things
a
up.
tip pick. Was it not a tip pick?
No, it wasn't. Tipped.
Brady's
Yes, it was.
tipped
It
at
was
the line
tipped
of
right in the air.
Oh, yeah, got knocked away from.
Yeah, it was tipped
from
in the air. It
Eli.
was the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was 1-on-4, but hey, you got to go for it.
But for real, Rosenthal, try and look beyond, because if, let's say, by hook or by crook, the Jesse James touchdown stands, or even worse, though, at Maurice's point, we're playing hypothetical, obviously, but let's say Sean Davis gets that pick and deflected at the line, though it was. What is the state of mind for a Patriots fan right now?
I felt fine because I thought this game sort of doesn't matter. You've seen enough of these playoff games. The playoffs game is
Are
what
you
matters. And I
kidding
think
me?
and the Patriots are capable of winning on the road, and they're capable of losing at home. They're not
Are
an
you?
unbeatable
In the
team.
road?
That is
Where?
on the
jive.
in Pittsburgh.
That
Oh,
is
why not?
jive.
I
You
know
really
the
think
road
there's
in the
no...
playoffs.
I don't think the first game matters. You've been through the playoffs are all that matters at this point.
Right.
So this game, it was an exciting game, but the playoff game is all that matters. And I give the Steelers a chance to go in New England and win, and I would have given this New England a chance to go to Pittsburgh and win.
You don't... Are you
I'm
really...
a little
you really
upset
don't
that
see
you're
a
not
major...
talking about the Jaguars right now.
All right,
I
we'll
think the
talk about-
Jaguars could get there, too.
I'm gonna
I don't
get
think
to
that's
that.
crazy.
Here's the path for the
We're
Patriots
just gonna
had they
post
lost
up in
that
here
game.
the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Rosie, if they lose that game, the Patriots, their path to the Super Bowl suddenly becomes hosting
You
the
become the
Chargers
3
or
seed.
Ravens. If you don't want the Ravens, well, you might get them in the first round.
Right.
If you
that's what I'm
lose,
saying. I think they'll get them now. I think Ravens are going to be the 5 seed. They'll go to New England. Decent chance. You never know.
Ooh,
Okay, and then-
love that game. That would be a good
New
game.
England.
that means that the Ravens have to go
Oh,
to KC and beat
Ravens
them.
and
Yeah.
So you think
Not even.
so? You're saying now Ravens go to KC?
I'm saying I think the Ravens, the Jags, the Steelers, and the Patriots are all a lot closer than us in the cognoscente say. That any one of those teams, if things fall right, they can get through.
I think
Patriots
all four
are not.
of us agree with that. Though.
Okay.
No, I don't.
I think
That's why I think
disagree.
being
I feel like
home,
the Jags are up here.
being home doesn't guarantee anything.
But I think
Doesn't
the
guarantee
path
anything.
becomes so much more severe for the Patriots if they had to have gone Ravens at home, or maybe the Chargers at
the
home.
Patriots haven't played
then
a wild
to
card game in a
Jacksonville.
while.
Then to Jacksonville to get physically beaten up before they go to Pittsburgh for the title game. That path makes it a much tougher.
You're right. You're right. Getting the bye is the key thing. You skip a whole week.
Hold on.
That's nice.
Before you New England's not going to go.
Don't we have a show waiting? Our show is
They're not
waiting
going to
for
go
us
to
right now.
Jacksonville.
I'm done with all of it.
New England's not going to go to Jacksonville and beat Jacksonville like that. Like get beat up and then win. Like no, you're going to get beat up and lose.
All right, if they do get
foremost. Second of all,
for my rooting interest, if they're coming up there and they're beating up, that would have been fine.
We've seen teams do
Second
that.
of all, let me
We've
say
seen
this,
teams
though.
do it plenty of times.
Let me say this:
the Ravens being one of them.
The New England hasn't played well on the road at all in the playoffs. That's why the number 1 seed was so important, and that's why they had to win.
Well, they've also won like 17 out of 18 games on the road. I'm just saying, I'm not that
playoffs though. They're not good in the playoffs on the road.
I want to see Patriots and Ravens.
Right or wrong? I'm not talking about regular.
I think every year is different, and this is a year where I don't think there's any great teams. I think they all have a shot.
Can we fight? Let you and me fight right here for the soul of the AFC.
I take
the soul of the AFC. That means you got to put the Jaguar in there.
I take my chances.
We're all like getting up and leaving right now.
I got you by 78 pounds. You ain't beating me.
It has been a thin
Rosenthal is not even on camera, but it's been.
It's what's inside. It's what's inside.
This is what's going to beat me in a fight. I've never been in a fight.
He's fought before. You've never fought before.
Have you been in a fight?
Stop touching me. Not really. Hockey, maybe.
I'm going to touch you in January.
That's right.
With a fist.
That
Thin
sounds
slice of heaven.
terrible.
Merry Christmas.